Welcome to Pod Maverick After Dark. I'm Kirk Henderson and Josh Bowe. You are joining us. It's about 9:15 on Sunday, October 26th. The Dallas Mavericks just defeated the Toronto Raptors 139-129. Josh, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Turns out point guards are pretty important. Probably the headline of this game.
Pretty important. Really fascinating game. If you want to talk about like just weird things across the 3-game stretch, to go from the Mavericks have scored 92, 107, and 139. One of my friends in a group chat, shout out to my friend Steven, he's like, so maybe you shouldn't be basing all of your analysis off of 2 games of statistics, because I had talked about how the Mavericks were more or less like dead last in every meaningful offensive team statistic, like offensive rating. They're below 100. No one else was below 100 and all. So it's a question of how much was that just like, bad shooting, poor shooting, bad offensive execution. And I think we know the answers to some of this, but really for me, watching this game a little more closely tonight compared to the one on Friday night, the Mavericks just started out the game playing a hell of a lot harder, earlier and longer. And yeah, D'Angelo Russell got into the game, and I think that really helped kind of shift the offensive flow and kept it a lot more stable. But the Mavericks just played harder for significant portions of this game. And you and I could sense the run coming in the early portion of the third quarter. I want to say the Raptors committed 4 fouls in the first 2 minutes of the quarter.
Yeah.
And at that point, it was kind of the two teams were more or less, within striking range of one another. And that's like, there were a ton of lead changes in this game early on. And, you just said, you said the Mavericks are going to be up by 10 or 12 by the end of the quarter. And that's what happened because, if you're watching the Mavs broadcast tonight, they talked early and often about the Mavs sort of recipe for victory. And it's pushing in transition, playing decent defense or really good defense, and getting to the line. And like, if you think about that from that point of view, the Mavericks really did exactly what they had set out to do tonight against the Toronto team. That is a pretty feisty team. Like, I was a little worried about this one, given the first 2 performances. And I don't know, this is not I don't want to say this is a get right game. It's 3 games into the year, but the Mavericks had to show us something, because they look like they look like the worst team in the league for 2 straight games. And despite my reservations about team building, they're not the worst team in the league.
No,
like, what are we doing?
No, absolutely not. Yeah, you're right. They did play harder. That just helps. They had 70 points in the paint. They had 22 fast break points. They had 39 free throw attempts. So yeah, I mean, they checked all the boxes that they needed to check. Obviously, the turnovers were bad. They finished with, I think, 20.
Yes,
but they got better in the second half, like significantly better.
Well, you almost want to look at it by quarter. They had 8 in the first quarter. I want to say
4 in the second.
The second quarter, 1 in the third quarter,
which is when they took over.
That was when the game got put out of reach. And look, I am a extraordinarily big asshole and a critic at certain points when it comes to covering this team, particularly when I feel like they're just, sort of walking into a field of rakes. But the NBA's 82 games long. That one stretch is all you need. So if you didn't like their defense in the fourth quarter, for example, I get it. But they also maintain the lead, so I don't really care. You just the announcer sort of hit on this, where it's like, all right, on to the next one. And that's sort of how I feel. Like I want to get a win, and then the more, all right, how do we turn that third quarter into a half? How do we turn this half into a game? And go from there. It's too long of a season, and the Mavs have some things that they still have to work through. There were just some real bright positive signs in this game, And considering how critical I have been, I just want to do my best to maximize and really highlight on the things that were good.
Yeah, absolutely. To me, the game had two main takeaways besides, just playing hard and being more engaged, which I think we all expected when you start 0-2 and both losses were kind of like, the first loss was embarrassing. The second loss was also kind of embarrassing considering the Wizards were leading for most of that game. The two big things for me are obviously, the obvious one's D'Angelo Russell, who plays 29 minutes after playing 24 minutes combined in the first two games. He has 24 points. He's the team high plus 26. So that's one thing. I don't know which one and then the other thing is, and it kind of bounces off Russell playing a season high 29 minutes, is Anthony Davis did not dribble the ball almost at all tonight. So like those two things offensively were the biggest difference. They played a real point guard and they put Anthony Davis back as a play finisher. And I think that made the biggest difference. And we could kind of, if you want to,
let's do Anthony Davis first, because we're much meaner about him with consistency. Davis's box score tonight: 25, 10, 3, 3, 2. And what did he shoot from the floor? I don't have that.
11 of 14.
He took 2 shots outside of the paint.
Yeah, he had 1 mid-range, 1 3-pointer. The rest were in the paint. So 12 of his 14 were in the paint. 9 of those 12 were restricted area.
So
that's it.
So what you're telling me is that he's good near the basket.
He's very good near the basket.
Well, and he had some offensive rebounds tonight in traffic, banging with some of the long, they're not as big as Davis, but the Raptors were able to put out like a lot of length on the floor. And so he's having a battle for a lot of what he got tonight. A lot of physical play. He ended up going to the line a ton. What did I have here? Sorry, I closed my box score like a dummy, like while I was talking. He went to the line 8 times. Yeah, he only hit 3, but that's kind of a non-story to me.
He's a good free throw shooter.
He's a good free throw shooter. Sometimes you just have off nights. I'm glad it didn't really matter for the Mavs wins. And he did a lot of his damage playing 5. He just he just did. Like, and it's just so funny having to have these conversations.
Yeah, but he was still good at the 4. Like, he was still okay at the 4. Defensively, he was not great at the 4, but that's just something they're going to have to work through until he gets back into shape. But offensively, it sounds stupid, but like he's a play finisher. He could do so. He's a really good passer. And the thing that I was saying was, if they want to play the big lineup, if they want to do point coop, if they want to lean into him playing the 4, they have to lean into his passing. And the first 2 games, it felt like they didn't. Like, they played the big lineup and then they just kind of gave him the ball and asked him to do stuff instead of getting creative and weird. Like, again, I don't remember how many pick and rolls he ran. Like, I don't know how,
not as many, because they're dedicated to that handoff offense. And the pick and roll stuff for this Mavericks team looked very, it's a pick and roll. So how fresh can it look? But it looked just really distinct to some of the stuff that they were running in the opening games between all of the bigs, because I liked Lively out of the handoff stuff, but mostly I enjoy seeing Davis in the pick and roll. Like, it's got to be kind of frightening to see Davis either as the screener or the ball handler, because they just have a lot of optionality from those looks.
Yeah, and my thing was, like, the first 2 games, I'm like, look, if you're leaning into this, why aren't you being more creative with Davis? So if you're not going to do that, then just play a point guard. Like, yes. And that's what they did. And they played they really only have 1 point guard, because I think Brandon Williams was a healthy scratch. I think personal reasons he was out. And Jaden Hardy's not a point guard. He's just a point guard sized shooting guard.
Yep.
Dante Exum's hurt. Kyrie's still hurt. He's the guy. Like, they have Nimhard, but he's a 2-way rookie. You can't Russell, for all his faults, like, this is D'Angelo Russell, and I said this all summer, he's gonna play games, he's gonna have moments where fans are gonna want to throw their remotes, coaches are gonna want to rip their hair out, but it's an 82-game season. It's a long season. Like, you kind of have to take the good with the bad to get games like tonight, where it's like he just settles things down against a team the Mavericks should beat, and you secure a win. And it's like, I don't know if I'm not saying if he would have played 30 minutes, they would have beaten Washington, but I think it would have given them a little bit better of a chance. it's like you just kind of have to live with the good and the bad. Like he signed for the taxpayers mid-level exception. Like he's obviously not the expectation with his salary, like he's not going to be an all-star. But you kind of just, he's also what you have. Like if they had more options, then yeah, do that. But if Kid wants to keep running point Cooper, like that's fine, but they got to find minutes for a real point guard, whether it's Russell, Nimhard, I could take or leave. His size it's just really hard.
It's really hard.
I really like him. It's just hard. Yeah,
the Raptors are absolutely, yeah, they're just gonna punish you because they're big at every position. So have we transitioned away from Anthony Davis into D'Lo? Because I don't know.
Yeah.
I've been such an
they kind of tie together because Davis was able to play as a play finisher because he wasn't being asked to take the ball and dribble for 15 seconds and make a play. It's like, oh, when you play a point guard, then you could everyone else kind of felt like they were more naturally comfortably into their position in terms of hierarchy. And it just made a difference, even if I don't think they were that more they weren't running more complicated stuff and scheming up these incredible plays. They were just playing a point guard, running more pick and roll. And they were better in transition because it's easier to get in transition when you actually have a point guard that can throw hit ahead passes and orchestrate. It just felt like everyone was less encumbered tonight because it's like, you're not smashing that square peg into a round hole. It's just oh, we have a point guard. So the pressure just fell off Davis and Cooper and PJ Washington. It was like, oh, I don't have to dribble and do everything. I could just, cut. I can set screens. I can spot up shoot because we've got Russell who's kind of getting us all in order and doing what we need a point guard to do. It just felt like everyone felt more comfortable.
It was fun to watch.
Man, Russell only had 2 turnovers. A lot of their turnovers happened from their bigs and some bad passes in transition. But Russell had 6 assists and 2 turnovers, which again, not going to set the world on fire, but consider what the Mavericks were doing in the first 2 games, and it's like a revelation.
Yeah. Well, we really got the full D'Angelo Russell experience in one game.
Yeah, because he started 0 for 7.
He started 0 for 7 and finished 8 for 18. So if you can do math there, people, that means he finished 8 for 11, and was a key part of why the Mavericks pulled ahead. But that 0 for 7 start in the statistics at that point were actually really it's got to show Dallas something. I'm going to be very curious to see where they go from here with the game tape, because even though he was 0 for 7, he got to the line 6 times during that stretch and was doing things within the offense to help the Mavericks just sort of stick around. His finishing is going to come and go. I think but before this game, he was something like 1 of 16 on the year. He was rough. But that's okay. The expectations for me and Russell center much more largely around, does the offense look like it flows better, rather than how is Russell performing individually? What do his statistics look like? His plus minus tonight was a league leading or a team leading. He was plus 26 in 29 minutes. That's indicative when and I know, plus minus is not a good single game stat, but I bet if we get, by around game 20, we're going to look and say, all right, this guy's the consistent plus on the floor, despite some of the defensive misgivings, because the rest of the team can clean up after him. He had one lob to Lively that had me throwing my TV or my remote at the TV, because he basically got Lively an offensive foul. And so it's somebody in my mentions described Russell as a rhythm player, where it's once he really starts to get going, his stats all boost to a certain extent, because he feels better about the game. And I think if that's how he's going to play, then they should really highly consider starting him. I don't really care what the starting lineup is. And then they also should do something to find a way to get him going early. Maybe I'm just really reading into one stretch of the game, but
no, I agree. I agree with both. I think they should probably start him, but if they don't start him, you could still do what they did tonight. He could still play a lot and impact the game if they're just dedicated to this big starting lineup. He could still play a lot. Yeah, I mean he was great. You want to talk about Cooper, or do we take a break first?
Let's take a break and then let's talk about Cooper.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So before I cut to break, just want to thank everyone for the early season support. As you guys know, Josh and I do this kind of on the side. We have real life jobs, and I've been, sharing a direct link. Just if you want to support us, if you feel like it, there's a direct link in the comments and in the show notes that you can click on relatively easily. It goes to a PayPal link. You can, of course, continue to give super chats. Google pays us out through that thing too, through the ads here. It's just, Google takes 40% off the top. So, as the season goes on, you feel like dropping $5, Josh and I would appreciate that. We will be right back. If you want to support us in another way, do listen to the ads, because those ads actually, they can tell if people are listening or not. Like it's an impressions notification. So we will be right back, and then we'll keep talking about the game. Okay, thanks for waiting and hanging out with us. If you would like to join the after party where you can be part of the show, Mavs Party will be going live right after Josh hops off here. We do have a game tomorrow night to cover, so I sort of expect that show to go a little shorter, and then Monday night's show to go a little longer. I've also been an idiot about posting times within the podcast feed, so I apologize for that. I keep forgetting that it's not like I keep accidentally not checking what time zone. I'll like select 4 p.m., but I'll do so for like the universal time code. And it's like, so all of a sudden it'll just show up in my feed at 10 in the morning. I really feel like an idiot. I'm still learning the new system. If you haven't subscribed to any of our shows yet, let's go ahead and do so, because that really helps Josh and I out. Would love to get to 5,000 subscribers in the YouTube channel by the end of the season. That'd be fun. Hard to do though. All right. Cooper Flagg. He rules. What? So I don't even know how to talk about Cooper. This is great. I was just loving the Cooper experience tonight.
Yeah, the Mavericks had by the way, Mavericks had 20 turnovers. Cooper had none of them. Like he's crazy. Again, his jumper is, it's still better. Like even 2 of 6, is still, considering where he was, it's still pretty great. But like you find out this was the first I think if you didn't get it, if you didn't watch him in college and the preseason and this stuff, you're kind of like, okay, I can see it, but like, why is this guy like more than just like all-star ceiling? Like, where is the more to that? Because he is that. And I think if you watched him through the first couple of games in the preseason, you might not have gotten it. But you should get it after tonight. I mean, he was electric. Fast in the fast break, he had that awesome dunk and one. I loved his pick and roll game tonight. He had some really good alley-oop lobs, I think, to Lively. I think he had another one to Davis. The tempo felt really good for him, where he was not playing slow, but he was not he felt like he was right, kind of going at his speed. Didn't feel like the defense was forcing him to do something he didn't want to do. And I also think, hey, playing with a point guard for him, because he's also an incredible off-ball play finisher. He's a great off the catch, first step attack dribble kind of guy. And I thought that made a big difference, that, he was able to, he didn't have to bring the ball up the floor. He didn't have to initiate. He could kind of play off that first action, which I think he's going to be awesome at that. I mean, he already is awesome at that. Like you saw it tonight. Like he was great. And I thought it was cool to see the Mavericks do kind of like D'Angelo brings the ball up the floor. Maybe they do kind of like a dribble handoff, or they do a pick and roll, and then the ball kind of swings over, and then Cooper runs a pick and roll. And I think he ran the pick and roll with Lively when Lively got that one-handed alley-oop. I want to rewatch that possession and see how that possession started. But like Cooper being able to run like a secondary pick and roll in this offense is going to be really good for him. Like, I really liked his, obviously I really liked his game, but he was awesome. He attacked well. That spin move is pretty nasty too.
The spin, he had one possession, which we're just not going to see very much of this if the Mavericks offense is working correctly, but doesn't mean I don't want to talk about when he does preposterous things. He got Colin Murray-Boyle on an ISO at like the free throw line, and essentially physically abused the guy for 15 solid seconds. He got it, I want to say it was almost near half court, or maybe he got it near the 3-point line. But Murray-Boyles was doing a good job staying in front of Flagg. But Flagg was just pushing his body into him, just kind of relentlessly attacking him, and then finally finished on a really sweet move at the rim. And again, he's not an isolation. Like, I think using him in isolation needs to be an every now and again situation. It's not that he can't do it. It's just isolation basketball is efficient only for certain guys, and the Mavericks don't have those guys right now. It's not. That's just a statement. It's not.
You're right. That's across the roster, by the way. That's everyone. They need to play. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
it's just it's the way it's built. But that said, God, I was out of my chair on that one. I know the one from D'Lo where he got the ball at half court, took one dribble and dunked on an and one. That's the one that is like the NBA is promoting, and they should. And really, that's the what you're talking about playing with a point guard. Like, if Cooper can just go and not have to get the ball, it's like they've really been nerfing Cooper to a certain extent by forcing him to handle the ball. It's not to say he can't. It's just it's like, what are we doing? It's this
kind of slows him down in a way he doesn't need. It's like taking a Ferrari and driving it like a minivan or something.
I mean, it's just it's there's certain kinds of guys that like to slow the game down. LeBron James likes doing this, and it's like. Luka liked doing it too. It's just we're not slowing down the game ball here. The Mavericks, if they're going to put up points, they're going to have to do so by scoring in transition quickly. Now, I don't have the transition stats in front of me, and I feel like
it was 22 to 21 fast break points, which is kind of incredible that the Mavericks had the most fast break points in a game where they had 20 turnovers, which is usually what feeds.
That's true. That's true.
They were great passing ahead, and also I just got to say this: Toronto might have the worst transition defense I've ever seen in my life.
Stinky.
That was
Scotty Barnes
horrible.
with some real I think I'm better than I am bullshit. He had like a great statistical line, something like 33, 10, and 5, but he got destroyed in transition by the Mavericks and in the half court. They were really picking on his ass.
Yeah, the whole team got destroyed like that. I mean, the Mavericks were just like one pass ahead layup, one pass ahead layup. Like it was
and then it
was crazy.
The one element that I wonder if they talk about this. I really thought the Mavericks clamped down on transition defense in the third quarter and early in the fourth.
Well, it helps when you're not giving the team the ball in live ball situations too. But like
the Raptors in the fourth quarter in particular is kind of driving me crazy. We're pushing off of Mavericks makes and scoring anyway. But in the third quarter, there's a stretch where
I got better about that. Yeah.
Where in the third quarter, the Mavericks really tightened it the fuck up, and all of a sudden Barnes is driving in transition or in semi-transition and forcing it up against three Mavericks, and the Mavericks just there, and it was just an impressive stretch of defense. And I saw, couple, I'm seeing some social media feeds like, oh, well, they still gave up 129 points. And I'm like,
the defense is not where it needs to be right now, but
it's like, this is where I go back to my point in the first half of the show of that stretch. We've identified it. The stretch in the third quarter from about 10 minutes to the end of the quarter is what won them the game.
It literally is, because it's the only quarter they won.
Yes.
The third quarter. They tied the first, they lost the second, they lost the fourth.
Okay, but
they won the third quarter by 14 points.
What were they doing? And so it comes back to answering the questions of what can we take away from that third quarter run and apply it to the rest of the game to where the Mavericks can finish this out. I think there's a lot of stuff that they can improve upon, and it was nice. It's just I want to celebrate the wins because it's like looking at the schedule. Maybe it's going to be a little dicey coming up in the next week or so. The free throw, like the real march to the line, I think is pretty impressive. Where the Mavericks really drew a lot of off-ball fouls and away from the basket fouls from the Raptors, which was pretty funny to see because it's just like. The Raptors really didn't give the Mavericks enough of a chance to make mistakes. They just kept making the mistakes for the Mavericks. What else should we hit at here? Another really good Max Christie game. 17 points plus 17. Really just he's doing what's asked of him. It's important.
It's hilarious. We talked in the preseason and like our kind of season preview pod where we were like, hey, everyone, slow the brakes. Don't get your expectations too high. He's a really solid young player, but that first 10 games he played when he got traded here are inflating the expectations. And now he started this season doing exactly what he did like in those first 10 games where he got traded here, where he's just a flamethrower. And I just think that's kind of funny. Like, yes. Okay, I can maybe raise the expectation level. I don't know, but he's been awesome.
Raise the expectation level. Lively with another kind of some goofy fouls, but again, plus 17.
His blocks were great. All three of his blocks were awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's good rim protection.
There's I think it was Locked on Mavs, Isaac Harris, who said protect the Cooper Lively combo at all costs. And those two as pick and roll partners are really fun.
Yep. There's a really good stretch of that third quarter where I think it was Lively, PJ Cooper, D'Angelo Russell.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say, and then I think Davis came in for Lively, so only one center on the floor, and that was really good. But I'm going to be fascinated to know the Lively at center, PJ at power forward, Cooper at small forward. That trio's lineup data for this season is going to be really interesting to look at because I think it's going to be awesome.
Quick shout out to PJ Washington too. Just a very thorough PJ Washington game. 17 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists.
Yeah, shout out to him. He's been there. Like if you took who's the best player for the Mavericks through 3 games, it's been him.
Well, he also finished with only 2 turnovers after 8 the other night. So, but he had I was dying in the fourth quarter as the Raptors are trying to make a run. He had a couple of buckets, including one where he's driving the lane and just does a one-handed shove off of Brandon Ingram and then gets an and one while we're talking like lead block and then it just reminded me of the shit that SGA does to PJ, and it just don't really get to see PJ do a lot of shoulder bump and one finishes, but he's the consistency part really matters. He's just a good player. I like watching him most nights, and that's something to take home. Everybody else kind of here nor there. Jason Kidd just must have known something because before the game he had just the most trolling ass quote where he said something to the effect of like the offense is right where we want it to be. Even though they'd scored 99.5 points per game.
Well, now they score 139, so I guess he was right.
He's usually like this. I love hating him sometimes because he's good at this. I think we can clear up there. You can get back to topping off the recap that you wrote for Mavs Moneyball. We've had a ton of writing at Mavs Moneyball, so if you are a consumer of the printed word, head over there because we're putting out 2 to 3 5, 7 things a day. and yep. I like what the guys are doing. We also got a new content management system, so sometimes things look goofy because we're still figuring out how to use it. You got anything else before we go?
No, that was a good win. And what they play Oklahoma City tomorrow.
Yes.
So we'll see. That'll be a nice measuring stick after playing 2 kind of crappy East teams.
SGA is averaging 40 points a game. I'm not sure it will be very measuring sticky. The Thunder were the number 1 offensive rated team in the league at 125, and the Mavericks were at 95. So
going up tonight.
That's true. It's a good point. Okay, so everybody wants to stick around for the secondary live show. Do so. Those of you who are listening on the podcast feed, I'll try to have the secondary show in your feed around lunch if you want to give it a listen. Appreciate everybody hanging out, and we will see you guys tomorrow night. Go Mavs. Hello, friends. Welcome to Pod Maverick presents Mavs Party. I actually remembered to switch the banner tonight. That's how you know. Glenn, shout out to Glenn, is already asking, where's the link? Because he wants to join. If you're brand new to the show, it's a live show hosted on YouTube where you can click a link in the comments that is pinned, takes you to a StreamYard link. StreamYard is the service that we use to live stream here. It's really easy to join. You head to a waiting room. I bring you up here, and then we talk a little shop. If you are ever able to not join the room, if you get in line, stay in line. Keep pressing the button and you'll eventually get shoved into the queue. I got Patrick and Brian waiting. I'm sure Glenn will hop in here shortly. We're going to, if you don't mind, Brian, since you join a lot of nights, I'm going to bring Patrick up first here. Patrick, what's up? Talk to me.
Hey, walking my dog using headphones. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, see, this is an ideal use of this. I commend you. So what's going on?
So I do want to first start. I don't know if you guys stopped the Mavs shout outs because the season got busy, but I would like to do a quick shout out and then I'll ask my question and take the answer off air.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to shout out Nick Van Exel, the High Sock King. The 2003 playoffs really changed my 10-year-old life. Got really passionate about the Mavs around that season. And then here's the thing. We traded him for Anton Jameson, who we traded for Devin Harris, who we traded for Jason Kidd, and then we won a title. So just want to give him props on that.
And a full string of fun players that added to my Mavs fandom. So we're always down to remember some guys here on Pod Maverick. Nick Van Exel, occasionally still Mavericks adjacent. I think he was with the Legends for a while. Not sure what he's doing at the moment. But
I thought I saw him like on doing some pod. Maybe it was just a pod appearance on the Mavs, or if he's like co-hosting something. I don't know. I was like, what are you doing there? But
right.
Either way, for the modern Mavs, I'm curious where Gafford fits into this when he comes back. Lively only had 21 minutes. My assumption is the minutes come out of Lively, but if it's only 21 minutes in a night where he's playing pretty well, where does that come from? I feel like he may or may not add anything that we need. Like, I feel like we've always kind of felt it's redundant with all the big men. So I'm just curious your take on when he comes back, where the minutes come from, and what he can or can't bring to the table.
It's a good question. I think some of it will probably be dictated by opponent. I wonder, Kidd said something after the game last night about how he expects Anthony Davis's minutes to get up to like 36, 37 a game. Davis hasn't played that much in like 8 years, and I'm not really sure that he should if they want him to stay healthy. He's been playing a fair number of minutes at 5. I wonder if they steal a little from Lively and steal a little from him. And, this is a team that has had injury problems. I wouldn't be shocked if certain nights they just give Davis or Lively the night off and let Gafford go to work. Gafford is the primary trade piece that the Mavericks have. He signed a deal that was instantly tradable. He's been that strikes me as intentional in that he's a good sport where he both wants to play hard for the team but understands that it's a business. He's been traded before. He's been traded twice before. I think he might have been traded twice before even joining the Mavericks because he was a Bulls, and then Wizards. Okay, so that's one trade. Then the Mavericks is 2 trades. Sorry, I'm losing my mind here. We already lost my guy. He dropped off the stick. That shows. I guess he just wanted to ask a question and pop off. But that's probably where I would expect his minutes to come from in short order. We certainly won't see any Dwight Powell getting the last 5 minutes of game stuff. Anyway. Okay, so we got 2 folks waiting. So again, just to pump the link, if you want to join the show, that it is pinned in the YouTube comments. You can hop in here pretty easily. We're going to go to Brian and then we will go to Glenn, but this might be a shorter show tonight just because there's not as much going, it's a win and there's a game tomorrow night. So Brian, what's up, brother?
Hey man, hope you enjoyed that game. I certainly did.
I did. It was the sort of game where it's almost like the direct opposite of the Spurs game, whereas the Spurs game confirmed a lot of my worries. That game confirmed a lot of the potential if you're really embracing what the Mavericks could be.
Well, what it confirmed for me is, one, whatever I was saying about the Raptors playing a press defense that I saw them doing in preseason, they did not bring that to the season because it was pretty soft in Sweden there. They did not we were able to get penetration easier on them than any team we played so far.
Right.
And then that includes the Wizards, who all they had down in the middle was Alex R. But yeah, things looked a lot better. We were reliant on double big a lot less, which is how we're going to have to go for it. I think if we want this to be competent, we have the guard mixed in pretty consistently with D'Lo being there. The shooting started off slow, but everything else that he needed to do, he was doing. So he had a pretty solid game and helped us out in the ways that we needed. Max Christie, so far this season, he looks like the only dude that can kind of reliably shoot, and that makes him
Clay
pretty
was
valuable.
4-7. Clay was above 50% tonight. He was.
Clay was
4-7
Clay
in
was
20
above
minutes.
50%. He also had a negative plus minus for the game, the entire game, which tells you how even when he was making shots, just how
That's
kind
true.
of detrimental
That's
to what we
true.
wanted to do was, right? Because with the slow feet, the not really being able to create opportunities for himself off ball, and not really being able to do anything inside the arc, and then not being a great defender on the other side at this point, it was a stark contrast when he would leave and Maxey would come into the game. And same with Najee, even to the point that, like, to answer Patrick's question from before, I think when we look to make our move, it's just gonna be, and like I'm gonna write about this. It's just gonna be Clay and Gafford. I think that's just the package.
Okay.
I think that's the package that gets you up to a decent dollar amount.
It's like 35 million.
Yeah, it's 30.8 million, I believe.
Oh,
because Gafford's 14.8, and then Clay is
because
16.
he signed an extension. The extension doesn't kick in until next year.
Right, he's still on that 14.7 for this year.
Right, and the previous deal was declining.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they come together for exactly 30.8 mil, and that is eerily enough to go and get you like a Jordan Poole from the Pelicans, a Malik Monk, and something else from the Kings, right? Like some of these players who are in these bigger salary ranges, where you're not just having to say, okay, what could we add to Gafford to get like Kobe White, who's the only guard of that level who's making around like 12, 13 mil, so. That's probably going to end up being the package. It does not look good so far for Clay, and we're starting to see him get pretty thoroughly outplayed by a player at his supposed position. Now, he should be playing 3 or 4. We just don't have the room in the front court for him to do that. But I liked a lot of what I saw tonight when Max was in, especially like you mentioned on the previous show, the lineup that pretty much wrapped up the third for us and gave us the lead that won us the game. Lively, PJ, Coop, Max, D'Lo. That was pretty good. Like there'll be a bunch of chitter chatter online about the difference between like AD stat line and Lively stat line, like even accounting for the minutes or whatever. And it's like, yeah, but again, AD had a negative plus minus for the entire game, and it was pretty clear why if you were watching. Not to say that he played poorly tonight. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying there was a bit of a difference in their impact tonight.
Sure.
When one was the lone big and the other was the lone big, the double big minutes, it doesn't really help anyone. But
it's not right now, and I don't really see what they're seeing.
No, I think that's why we're starting to see them go to it less and less. They may start the game with it. Kid does not stay that long. He makes that first sub early.
Yeah. So
and like that tells us that he doesn't really think it works either. But that's kind of a mandate.
You got to put guys in positions where they can succeed, and so it's like,
agreed.
To AD's credit, he was just camped in the lane doing things.
When Lively was off the court, he was just mashing tonight in the paint. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I was hoping that he would do. And yeah, even though he still has yet to regain however much foot speed he's gonna get back, you catch the ball 6 feet from the basket, it doesn't matter if everybody's smaller than you, and you can just put them on your back and jump hook them to death.
Well, and that's honestly, his finishing tonight was really on point. And we've witnessed a couple of games. It's like Friday night, he got stuffed by the rim twice. Like it's a thing that happened, and it's over with. And as long like the thing that I've appreciated about my Anthony Davis criticism to date here is that I'm not getting the kind of batshit stuff I would get from Luka, with where it would be like, okay, well, Luka's looking a little heavy, and everyone would be like, no, he's not. I say Anthony Davis is a little bit slow. The response time to me at this right now is, well, here's why he's slow. And I really disagree. I get a little, and to say he's going to work through it, I think is perfectly fine. I just felt his positioning tonight was better. He wasn't caught under the rim too much. He was kind of near the middle of the team. The reason I say this stuff
your mic is doing some weird things right now.
Woo. Hold on. I have to. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better.
I wonder if I just. Oh, I know what I did. My own cord. So I just pulled it out briefly. I tell my 9-year-old this stuff all the time because he just goes directly below the rim and then wonders what the ball goes beyond. It just happens in a physical NBA game where like guys are literally shoving you under the rim, get you out of the play. It was nice to see Anthony Davis, Lively, and even PJ doing their best to take up space against a pretty big and physical Raptors.
Yeah, man, it was fun. It looked like everybody on the team was ready and prepared to be aggressive, getting downhill with a purpose. PJ was ready to get into the paint and mash and just throw a shoulder into the first person he saw. Cooper was slicing really effectively towards the rim and getting some really nice spin finishes, got a couple of dunks in. He looked good off the bounce pretty much.
Ball didn't stick tonight. And the broadcast really made a point of talking about that, where the ball was moving and it wasn't the like bullshit dribble handoff flips to nowhere. Like the ball was just moving crisply and there was very few like lengthy isolation possessions. And that was just good to see.
And you know why? Because when AD catches the ball closer to the basket, he has less of a decision to make. It's either I'm about to put this up or I'm about to kick it out. But he makes the decision a lot quicker and everybody else does in kind. And it makes the offense look a lot smoother.
Yeah, he was crisp tonight. And Josh talked about this a little bit. They just need to the Mavericks are not in the position to where I think they can afford to slowly roll out playbook stuff.
No.
Like they need to get shit out there. And it's like if we're all talking about weird inverted pick and roll stuff and the fun things they should do, let's just get it all out there and see what works. You know, and then force teams to defend it. Like I truly believe that with the coaching staff that the Mavericks have, they can figure out their counters and figure out how to work through once defenses start to adapt to what the things that they're trying. But for now, I want to see more weird. Like if we're not going to have a ton of point guard play, then they need to do things at least where guys are getting positions or getting the ball in positions where they're advantageous instead of saying, let's just, hey, go make something of it, which is what we saw against the Spurs way too often. I didn't watch the Raptors game closely enough to really notice, but I mean, even in the Wizards game, even against the Wizards, I feel like they had some runs, just they couldn't sustain it long enough to get back over the hump.
Yeah, even early before they could get things together in the Wizards game, we saw a couple of times where Cooper went and set the screen high and ended up catching balls short rolling, and both times made perfect decisions out of them. One was a beautiful, really snappy corner kick right out to Maxey for a corner three, and another was an M1 finish. I'm pretty sure it was an M1 finish, or it might have been a finish through some contact. But yeah, and then we just didn't really see that as much again, and I hope we don't take weeks to get back to something like that.
That's right. I mean, that's also what the defenses they can give you. Is there anything else before you go?
No, I was pleased by what I saw. It was against a team that at the very least played like a bottom 5 team tonight in the Raptors, because they were able to score because our defense is bad, but man, their defense was way worse somehow. So, take it with a grain of salt, but it is a win, and you will take any win that you can get with how things have looked so far. So,
thank you once again for joining us. All right.
Of course, dude.
All right. Talk soon. Okay. Before I bring up Glenn, I'm going to have to go to break. Before I go to break, I want to talk about one more thing. There was a Cooper Flagg 3 from the left wing that I thought was so amazing, and I just wanted to talk about it out loud. Watching where he's improved on his smoothness of his jumper, even from Duke to Summer League to now, is pretty amazing. I felt like at least over the summer in Vegas, a lot of his threes were short, and the same thing happened on a couple of his looks tonight, but he caught one on a pick and pop, the only 3 he made today. And he just, he slowly caught the ball, and he caught the ball, and it was a smooth transition directly into a rise and fire jumper. And teams are going to have to respect him from distance at some point. They're not right now, which if that's the case, keep shooting the damn ball. Because once they do start respecting it, that's going to open up all sorts of other stuff, and it's just fun to watch. Okay, if you haven't, you guys know the deal by now. I'm not going to shill every game. If you want to support our show, there's a link in the show notes. I'm going to insert some ads right now in the audio stream, and then I'll be right back with my buddy Glenn. Okay, welcome back. If you have not subscribed to our show, you're nuts. Do so, because we have fun here. Even when we lose, we have fun. So coming up next is my guy Glenn, and then another guy named Glenn, who is also a longtime show listener. So we have the Glenn to Glenn combo. Glenn, what's up, brother?
Greetings, Kirk. How you doing tonight? Great game.
Much better game, much better time. I like that 6:30 start time for me, because now I can do something with the rest of my evening. I won't. I'm just going to do Mavs stuff, but I could, and that's it, to have the option. So what's up?
Same here. Perfect timing. Okay, first off, this will be the only time you hear me say this all season long, but I told you so. I came on here. I said everybody needs to remain calm. This is going to be fine. And here we are today. And really all they needed to do, the biggest thing they needed to do, was to stop having Cooper Flagg bring the ball up.
Yeah, that will help.
Absolutely. The formula is there. And I say this is the only time you'll hear me say I told you so, because I realize I don't know very much about basketball compared to...
You were saying don't panic. That was kind of what that came down to, and my take, which is a good take.
It's a good take, yes. But the other Glenn, I respect him. He knows a lot more about basketball than I did, so you can get the official take from him. And by the way, Patrick, I appreciate his take too, because I was a big Nick Van Exel fan. I loved his little teardrop shot that he would do. The giant.
He would be so good in this current NBA with the way that he played. He would be so good. So.
Yeah. God, I wish we had him. So the formula needs to be don't make Flagg overwork himself. B, out hustle the opponent. And I think what is so great is that you could see still a lot of laziness tonight, but then when the other guys look and they see Cooper Flagg's energy and he is everywhere on the court, it inspires the rest of them to say, okay, we need to do this, because you can't play this method of playing where you're not relying upon 3-pointers without out hustling your opponents.
Yes, you've got to play with like sort of a reckless enthusiasm. Because if you're going to beat the shit out of people, that requires energy. So this is a good point.
Yeah, exactly. Don't turn the ball over. You got to get offensive boards. There was one point at the night. It was late in where was it? Midway through second quarter. We had 4 offensive rebounds in the same little segment. And I was like, yeah, this is it, guys. You look and you see you're not giving up. You shoot the shot, you don't turn and run back down the court. Everyone's staying focused on getting offensive rebounds, and that's what you got to do for this offense, which may not be similar to any other offense. Well, there's 2 or 3 two teams running this, right?
Go with it. Who do you think?
Well, Cleveland runs this.
Well, you mean double big. I mean, I thought like you're seeing more and more teams do it, but I think that's also because as we get like further along in the evolution of basketball, bigs are also becoming more skilled. So it's like you could have a 6'11" guy that can dribble and shoot. I mean, we're playing the Houston Rockets, and they play an even bigger lineup than we do. So you're just going to see this stuff as we go along. But I know what you're going for. Keep going.
Yeah, if you're going to run this multiple big offense where you don't have 5 out, you don't have 5 guys spreading the floor, then you need to win offensive rebounds. You need to have a shooting, effective shooting percentage or whatever they call it, where you're making your baskets in the paint.
Yep.
And not just, you don't have the 3-pointers to go along with it. Alley-oop from Flagg to AD with 8 minutes left in the third quarter. That was it, right? Like that was the point where the whole game changed, and I hope that's the point where the whole season changed, because I felt like the whole team just went, oh yes, we did this in practice and now we did it in a game, we see how it works. Cooper Flagg gets freed up. He's not trying to dribble the ball around. He gets it up at the top of the key. He looks, he sees cutters or he sees somebody going to the basket, and then he can make these effective plays because he's got such great court vision. And who did we have? I mean, we had the greatest court vision guy in the world up until we stupidly traded him away, but we don't want to get into that. Out hustle the opponent. Don't turn the ball over.
They
own
still
the
turn it
paint.
over a ton, but the
Yeah.
times that they didn't turn the ball over was when they pulled away. So the numbers are inflated because they had, I think, 4 down in like the final 5 minutes, of which they were already going to win. It was more of a, can we just get out of this game already? So if they can get their turnovers, that's actually, to me, the single most, other than energy, playing harder, keeping their turnovers low so they're not giving up these transition baskets to the other team, because that's what, like, they've just, against the Spurs, for example, is an extreme example, I hope, but the live ball turnovers were just disastrous, and that's what they have to look to avoid, and they did a reasonable job of that from in the third quarter, which is where they won.
Right. This is my overall take, is that the first 2 games of the season was a typical Jason Kidd experimentation night where he's gonna, see what he's got, and he's thinking that, this will benefit us later in the season, that we did all this experimentation and we have all this information. And by the time we got to game 3 and we were 0-2, he said, it's time for no experimentation night. Let's run this as traditionally as we can. We'll have D'Lo as the point guard. We'll have the point guard playing point guard, and we'll run things in, like a traditional manner. And how about that? It worked. This team, we are going to win 48 games.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the heat.
Yeah. We're going to win 48 games. We're going to be really good by the end of the season. We are going to have the rest of the league scared by the time it gets to the playoffs. There it is. That's the Glenn King take.
Glenn King, super excited. All right. Thanks, buddy. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Talk soon. Have a great night.
All right. You too. My other friend, Glenn. Whoop, there we go. Hi, Glenn. How you doing?
What's happening, man? Can you hear me?
I can. How are you?
I'm good. Thought it was a good win. I thought it was sloppy. I love the insert of D'Angelo. And I feel like, for whatever reason he wasn't playing earlier, I do feel like Kidd heard everyone's banging against our heads against the wall to get a point guard in there to actually run the point, and made the difference. Even when D'Angelo was not making his shots and was really looking rough, just him being able to be on the court and actually set everyone else up made a huge difference.
Well, I think I think they're trying to slow walk Clay into understanding that he shouldn't be starting. That's just my. I don't think they want Flagg playing as much as I don't think they know how to explain to Klay Thompson that he's just not a starting level guard with this team, because he's not. I think he'll find his time and he'll eventually be quite good if the team keeps him around and doesn't do anything. But it's just he doesn't look good right now. And
that was my
yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that was my next thing. I think Christie definitely is who needs to be in that position. It's just his defensive versatility alone. I saw him extend, and he's long. He's 6'5", 6'6". I saw him make some shots difficult for some guys in the paint, and I think the end of last year is the anomaly. I think what we saw when we originally traded for him is what we're going to get. So if Clay can kind of phase into that Peja Stojakovic role, where it's a really good 15 minutes when we need you, when you're hot. If you hit your first 3 shots, we keep you in. If not, the old Timmy stat. But
yes,
I mean, I'm even more apt to want to see more Hardy than Clay at this point.
Wow. I don't know if I will ever get there in the history of space and time, but so let's pitch me your starting lineup if you were able to choose.
It would
D'Angelo and Christie, that's 2.
D'Angelo, Christie, Flagg, PJ, AD.
Okay. So you're AD at 5. See, I doubt they'll ever start that. I doubt they will ever start that way, but that is at least a finishing style lineup because
Mhm.
I think AD at 5 just makes more sense to me, particularly if he plays like he did tonight, where he was using his strength and his, just basically his basketball genius to be in the right spot at the right time often enough. And I would love to see, I also think that particular lineup spaces the floor well enough. I still think they go big ball more than we really want them to, but I can't help but think, at least assuming no roster changes, that's something that they go through as they settle on like a closing lineup.
I think for this team to, and I hate to say this, to fully close the gap of what it needs, that's the conversation that would need to be had with AD. I mean, I know they're not going to do it, but in an ideal world, Gafford would actually move on. We would move him for another piece. That some kind of high level perimeter defender.
Yeah.
And that'd be great. But I'm pretty sure they're sold on keeping as long as Nico Harrison's here, which I'm not going to get into that. But which maybe one more year. I think I heard his contract is up after this year, if that's correct.
I'm not sure when it goes, because even when Kidd got his contract extension, no one reported an exact date of like what it went through, but I heard like 27, 28. And he got an extension last year. So it's like, are they just basically adding 1 year to the end of these contracts? It's very confusing. Part of me doesn't want to know, because I don't want to have that as an arsenal when I'm making an argument about why they should fire someone.
Well, I think if Nico wasn't here, there'd be more leverage to politely ask AD if he'd play more 5. But
yeah, certainly think so. Well, and I mean, this is a tough start to the season in that they play 5 games in 7 nights, because they go just a ton of basketball. And I don't know. It's if they can ask him to play it sporadically, I think he might be okay with it. I'm pretty sure he doesn't want to finish games that way, or at least start game. I'm sorry, he doesn't want to start games that way. But there's got to be a healthy medium between what we've seen in some of these games, where it's like he's played a ton of 4, and then tonight I felt like he played a ton of 5. I don't know. It'll suss itself out in the long run, simply because I also think people will. I think some of these guys will also, guys will take games off. They'll need rest. They'll get injured and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I like to whatever unclogs the floor to allow Cooper to do things like he did tonight, which is blow past these people. And he is a high flyer, man. He is by this time next year, I'm very curious to see what version Cooper Flagg is with 1 year under his belt, because I mean, this is I don't think he's had a bad start to his rookie year. I think he's been a pretty strong start, and he seems to continue to grow each and every game. By the end of the year, this kid could be a monster. This whole team could be different just based on his potential.
He's in the prime. It's not like I'm an expert in basketball development, so please take my words with a grain of salt, but I'm sort of firmly of the opinion that a guy's key developmental years, like professional level basketball players, are from like 16 to 22. And more you're seeing some of the guys that arrive. I'm kind of in just due to my kid. I watch a lot of youth basketball, and you just see jumps in development where all of a sudden a guy will work on a particular skill, and you've seen Flagg do this. Frankly, we saw Luka do it too, where you're better. You're like, all of a sudden you go away, and 2 months later, you dribbling with your left hand is no longer an issue. Free throws are no longer an issue. Flagg, we've seen this to a degree. I mean, his shot compared to Summer League, in my opinion, looks significantly better. He's gotten better at recognizing stuff game to game. I mean, he's a basketball supercomputer in a way that I'm not sure we're going to get to properly acknowledge until he's playing with a team that's maybe differently structured to his best traits. But there's still a lot you can take away from the game to game right now. And he's fun, man. The athleticism, I think, is going to continually surprise people. I want to say it was the road tripping guys like Channing that he wasn't very athletic, and it's just like, what are you watching? He is before he was the number 1 overall pick, and we're talking like 2 years ago, he was largely in the conversation strictly due to his defensive capacity. You are not a 6'8" guy that's in the number 1 pick discussion unless you're a ridiculous athlete. And we're not necessarily just talking about jumping out of the gym attributes either. It's like side to side quickness, fast twitch muscles. And he just gives me some he's going to be a remarkable defender when it all coming said and done. I mean, the Scottie Pippen type stuff is sort of where I'm in my head aspiring to for him. Cause he's big, long, strong. I like watching him and gushing about him, as you could tell, I could just do for like 10 minutes at a time without stopping to talk or breathe. So,
yeah. I think, I remember, I think he had the top shuttle coming out of the combine, something like that, which he's going to be something we've never seen before. Whatever San Antonio is going to experience with Wemby, which congratulations, but I hate that. Congratulations for them, but I hate them. Which, we had our own little superstar that was already here, but I do think the level for Flagg, because I saw him sizing the defenders up and learning in real time how to attack angles.
Yeah.
I saw him change speeds up just to be able to give a better pass assist. Not to mention the alley-oops that he's throwing. This guy is really, really good in every defensive situation. I see him. His hands are vertical and he's going straight up. Sometimes AD will get lazy and he won't even contest shots that are contestable. Flagg on every single attempt is learning how to contest. So yeah, he's going to be a monster. We're going to be good as long as Kid doesn't have his petty beefs with Nico Harrison, which I'm a conspiracy theorist, so I think that's a little bit of why some of this went on in the first couple games and
maybe
no D-Lo was playing. But as long as none of that gets in the way, I think this team should be good. I don't know if they're going to win 48 games, but they should be good.
As long as we're not in here every game complaining about the same 5 things, which we might be. That's just sort of what I do. I don't know. We'll see. Glenn, thank you so much for joining the show. I always appreciate it when you come on.
All right, man.
All right. Okay, guys, this is we're in and out from both shows in about an hour, which is peak for me. We'll be back tomorrow night. Head over to MavsMoneyball.com. Within the next half hour, there's going to be 3 post-game related stories up, where you can read a little more about this game. Be sure to like and subscribe. Tell your friends. I like talking basketball with people. So this has been a good time. Everyone have a great start to your week. Go Mavs.